Welcome to Talk About Scary, the show where we do just that. Talk about scary places and whether or not we think the stories are true.
Hey Clay, how are you?
Hey Adam. I'm good. You know what? I'm especially good now that I know that we're going to continue season 1 on even longer as just an audio podcast. That makes me feel special inside, I guess.
Me too. Me too. I got the warm fuzzies about the whole thing.
More special than Taco Tuesday. And it doesn't get much more special than that. Like, really. Taco Tuesday is a big deal.
It is. That's high praise. High praise. Good job. Well,
you get to lead this first episode that's just podcast based. So why don't you tell the audience what we're going to be talking about today? Because even I don't know what you have planned for us.
Truly, he does not know. Today, Clay, we are talking about, ready? Cue the scary music.
I am. It's cute.
The Lizzie Borden house. Huh?
What? I have to leave. This is trash. I have to leave. This is garbage. I'm out.
Lizzie Borden, man. It's the most haunted place in America. That's what they say. Absolutely.
Is it? It seems like kind of a popular place. I've heard of it before. I know some shows and movies have been made talking about that place. Is it true or is it just spectacle?
It's based in true crime. Before I start, I have to say the nursery rhyme we all said as kids. So here it goes. Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks. When he saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. Okay.
You said that as a kid?
Yeah, that's what we said as a kid. It was a thing we said as a kid.
Like just around the dinner table, you like went to eat and you're like, let's say the rhyme.
It's actually like Ring Around the Rosie. We said it like Ring Around the Rosie, but it was the Lizzie Borden song, and we all sang it because that's all right. So the story of Lizzie Borden. Okay, it's very famous. She was born in 1860. Okay, and she grew up with her father, Andrew Borden, and her sister Emma because she lost her mother when she was really young. Her father was like this rich textile mogul, but he grew up really poor. So in their house, like they didn't have running water. She was always kind of an upset child since her mother died and wasn't really happy with her father. And when she was about 32 years old, her father decided to announce that he was moving another woman into the house and getting married. And this angered Lizzie.
I can understand.
So on the morning of, it was Thursday, August 4th, 1892, Lizzie called down her nanny, saying her parents had been killed. She failed to mention how gruesome the murder actually was, though. They said that her father, Andrew, somebody hit him 11 times with an axe, and the stepmother 19 times with an axe. Totally blood-soaked house.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many times does it really take an axe to kill someone?
Yeah, she was accused of the murder and she was arrested.
That's a lot of hits.
Oh man, it's nasty. That is a crime of passion if I ever heard one in my entire life. But she was acquitted. She was arrested, but she was acquitted. She didn't serve any jail time, and they say the murders have not been solved to this day. But it was widely known that Lizzie killed them both. What do you think of that?
Well, you said she was born in 1860?
Yes, sir.
So she was 32 when this happened?
Yep, she was a spinster. She never got married. She lived with her father and her nanny and got really mad when he got remarried.
Kind of sounds like I mean, you said they grew up poor, but he became
rich,
somewhat
really rich.
Wealthy. Yeah, so to me it sounds like spoiled kid on spring break almost. I mean, I'm sorry.
Spoiled 32-year-old child on
my
spring
parents weren't divorced or nothing happened to them. They had a great relationship, but I don't think I would ever take an axe to someone over finding new love. And I think there probably should have been some punishment there. I'm sorry, but I get it. crime is a little bit different in the 1800s than it is today, there should have been some more investigation. I mean, you said that they never really proved that she did it. Like, what stopped them? Did they think that the pet cat did it?
Well, they actually thought
Did they have a pet cat?
They did not have a pet cat.
Was its name Whiskers?
No, yes, Whiskers. Whiskers Borden. Whiskers Borden. She actually blamed it on the Portuguese that lived around her. There's a lot of Portuguese immigrants back then, so she blamed it on the Portuguese. And since everybody hated the Portuguese back then, it was a great scapegoat for her. I think she got away with murder amazingly well by saying they did it. And there was even a time
when they broke into the house and just did them both in and left Lizzie alive.
Yeah, I think that's what the argument was. Sloppy, at best, sloppy. There was even one time where she tried to unsuccessfully purchase a prussic acid. It's a really highly poisonous liquid, just days before the murders, but she still got off. Now, today, the Lizzie Borden house is a bed and breakfast. And there's been so many people that have gone in to research, take pictures, evidence. There's so many I actually can't cite them all, but there's been pictures of ghostly appearances of Lizzie's stepmother in mirrors. They actually did have a pet cat as well, which is one of the haunted sightings, which is kind of silly, but that's one of the...
Whiskers, I knew it.
Whiskers the cat. That's exactly... No, it wasn't Whiskers, but I didn't get to find out what the cat's name was, but it's pretty damn scary, right? I mean, the pictures...
So what happened to her? What happened to her after she got away with it? I mean, did she just live happily ever after?
Yeah, she lived happily ever after.
In that house? She just kept living there?
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really say where she lived. I assume, from everything I've seen, it says she continued to live there, and she was always accused of murdering her mother and father, stepmother and father, but she just kept living there. So, so there are sightings in this house. Again, the stepmother has been seen in pictures of in different pictures. They've seen her in the background. You see her like in mirrors and behind people. You can look them up online. They look pretty realistic. They don't look like they're doctored too much.
You see Lizzie Borden, or you see the parents?
Her stepmother.
Okay.
Yes. So that's one of the sightings that you see.
The house got named after her because of like the controversy behind her supposedly committing these murders but getting away with it.
Yeah, and it was her house. So calling it the Lizzie Borden house after she murdered her father is pretty accurate. It was her house.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so too. And people can still it's open for reservations. Any guest can stay there anytime they want. They can stay in her room, which is really terrifying. It's considered to be haunted by multiple spirits that have lived there. And a really scary one is Mr. Borden is said to carry on his usual business. And he's not even aware to the fact that he's dead. He responds to questions.
So like Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. Everyone. I didn't mean that. He's definitely alive.
He's alive the whole time. He's a psychologist. We didn't ruin that for you. But he
movie's 20 years old. If you haven't seen it by now, like, you need to rethink your life.
I haven't watched The Sixth Sense yet. You ruined it for me.
You need to rethink your life. Rethink your life.
Such a twist. With such a twist.
Anyway.
Wasn't it?
Who wants to stay in a bed and breakfast, though, where, I mean, like, that sounds like if you went into a cemetery and, like, every time they put a new body in the ground, there was, like, a hot dog stand that showed up to, like, you know, like straight out of the streets of New York, like, serving hot dogs to the people that come for the burial. I don't want no bloody oatmeal in the morning while I'm on a nice vacation. Yeah, I'm in the Lizzie Borden house, and they're offering
Enjoy your breakfast.
Some great bloody oatmeal. That's kind of weird. And we've talked in the past about how some of the places that maybe are more haunted and less gimmick, no one really visits or goes to. Like, the locals stay away. No one really wants to see it or talk about it. It's definitely not a sideshow attraction. And I'm not saying that this didn't happen. Obviously, there's documentation that her father and stepmother were murdered, and she, you know, was on
there's
trial
documentation.
for,
it was a real crime.
Yeah, like
but,
this definitely happened, but it seems odd to me that someone turned it into a bed and breakfast. Like, that's just,
I think it sounds
whoever
awesome.
thought of that is kind of twisted.
That is fantastic. It's probably the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
I mean,
it's probably one of the only places. Go ahead.
To stay in the house. It'd be fun to stay in the house, but
absolutely. Hey, it's got 4 stars on TripAdvisor. You know it's got to be good. 4 stars on TripAdvisor.
Yeah, that is good.
TripAdvisor does not lie.
It's alarming. Like, who owns the place now? Do you know, or is it just
I could
after
Google
the
it.
house was sold or bought? You could Google it, but Googling is my thing. You do that Google thing that you talk about.
I do the Yahoo.
The Yahoos.
I Yahoo things. I don't Google anything. So Mr. Borden is said to carry on his usual business. He's unwilling to accept the fact that he is dead. He often responds to questions and is the common spirit to provide EVPs. There's actually a couple really good EVPs on there that kind of contradict that statement, though, that you can actually look up on YouTube. There's a lot of great ones. One of my favorite ones is actually from the Biography channel, where they're in the basement trying to do an EVP session, and she says, "Who kills you?" And you can clearly hear the voice. He says, "Lizzie." And it's really clear. Now, usually when you hear EVP stuff, it's like it's static and someone's like, "I think I heard something," and it's like water dripping in the background or whatever. But it sounds like someone said Lizzie. Now, it's on television, so who knows if it's exactly true, but the bio channel's pretty reputable sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and you know, you kind of trailed off in a different direction than I thought you were going to go, because I truly don't know much about this story. But I think it's interesting that people actually have conversations, or just in general, we haven't really talked about EVP. And the fact that this character, you know, her dad, seems to be someone who responds to that fairly often, at least enough for it to be on TV and all over YouTube, is interesting. I haven't really messed around with that a whole lot, but anytime that I have, it's usually garbage. I don't usually hear anything. The water drips, like you said. You might go back and like isolate a small noise that you hear, but it's nothing. It never is anything. So a ghost,
don't get me wrong, there's also people on
responds
there that
is unique. But it's still. I'd like to hear, and I'd like to hear him say Lizzie. I'd like to hear what that sounds like.
You can see that. It's on the bio channel. You can watch it on YouTube. And actually, I probably have a link here, probably somewhere. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm not going to give it out. You guys can look it up. But it's pretty creepy sounding. And but there's a lot of other, EVPs and YouTube stuff where guys are coming in and they're all from Massachusetts. Like, hey man, we're at the Lizzie Borden house here, and we listen to EVPs, and they'll say something, and then a guy farts in the background, and that's another kind of EVP they have there. It's just a bunch of jokes, but that one sounds legitimate for the most part.
Yeah.
And then
so I'm reading some of the comments that I just found from looking this up, so I could try to follow along with you.
Did you Google it?
I may have Googled it. This episode is not sponsored by Google in any way. Google does not represent Talk About Scary.
Does not share our views.
Just to make that clear. Anyway, I found New England Today posted an article from the Massachusetts section, and literally someone posted a comment that is exactly how I feel about this, and I just want to share.
Okay.
The name is under Luis, and it's from 3 years ago, so pretty recent. That's all the information I have. But it says, no one will ever know the truth, but I personally think she killed her parents. My question is why? Had she committed this crime today with the evidence that was found, I have no doubt she would be found guilty. A very interesting story. And I kind of, not only do I agree, but I kind of wonder if there was some kind of manipulation going on. Because, again, if this was like a child, like a 13-year-old, I can understand there being a little bit of leeway or, well, maybe she didn't do it. But I'm literally taken aback by the fact that this was a 32-year-old woman. Why did they not find her guilty? They found the axe.
Yeah, she was really wealthy, though, and, you know, back then...
She was wealthy because of her dad. I feel like that's... What were, like, rats, the judge and jury? Like, did they have rats?
Rats?
Performing this court? Yeah, literally.
Like the Secret of NIMH? Like smart ones or, like, really bad ones?
That's what I'm thinking of. Like Ratatouille, the rats of Ratatouille from Pixar, mixed with the rats from Secret of NIMH, performed this trial.
Pretty weird. That's weird to picture. I can't really get that in my head.
I've got it. Okay. I've got it good. And
you heard it here first, folks. That's exactly what probably happened.
Well, that's all you can think about happening. I know it sounds silly and it's easy to laugh at, but
the haunting part of it was important, not the murder.
The haunting is good. It is good.
That's what we do.
This is talk about scary, not talk about crimes. But when you bring to the table something that, like, have you seen Scary Movie where they spoof the Scream series and they have
everybody's seen that
as like Deputy Doofy or whatever his name is.
Absolutely.
That's literally how I picture like the police officers and all the authority that handled this case was like not all there mentally. So I don't know. You're right.
Before my time,
it's not important.
So I can't tell. It is weird.
Oh, you weren't alive then? I know it was a while ago, but I thought you were like a teenager.
I was a young man of 30. No, not there yet. But so aside from the true crime part of it, Clay, the EVPs though, that's pretty creepy, and I'm sure you've already looked one up now, and you'll probably watch it if you haven't already to see what I'm talking about. So there's that. That's pretty scary. I think the creepiest part of this story is, so her stepmother, Abby, is the most common sighting that they've seen. And she's all through the home, and she screams from time to time. From time to time. From time to time. She's
like reliving the crime?
She's reliving being murdered, people say.
I mean, no one really knows how spirits work. But I do think that it's a little bit interesting that the dad gets a better reputation through EVP and the stepmom.
Well, she was a stepmom anyway. She really doesn't count that much. She wasn't a real family.
I'm seeing they have skulls on display.
They're really doing it up.
They're from the victims after death, and they were used as evidence during the trial. So apparently those skulls weren't good enough.
Nope. Because they didn't show Lizzie doing it. They definitely got murdered by an axe, but they didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I think that's an interesting story. I don't mean to fixate on the crime, but we haven't had a whole lot of really interesting crime segments brought into the show, especially ones that went, for the most part, unsolved, even though I think it's solved. And the judge is like, well, he's dead now, but probably like, oh, I messed that up pretty bad.
He probably got paid off. He's probably got paid off for it, but all right.
By Lizzie.
There's other sightings. I gotta tell you, there's other sightings. You were all the way back on page 1 of the crime. I'm all the way up here. You're like 2000 late. I'm 2008. This is stuff that's going on now.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so there's been other investigators in the house. I told you there's been a lot of investigations there. Some of the sightings that the investigators have seen are someone saw Lizzie, herself in the basement. Now, I don't know why they would see that like that, because she lived a long time after that, but that sounds pretty flimsy. And some investigators have actually said that they saw Bridget Sullivan, that was the nanny, and her pet cat there. But again, they didn't die there, so why the hell would they be seeing her there?
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that, and I'm a pretty big believer in this subject. I think that's a little bit of imagination getting away from you.
But they also say doors open by themselves, they can hear footsteps, lights will flicker on and off, and that is about it. I think a lot of it has to do with probably old wiring and things like that. But and the doors opening and closing by themselves. I've lived in houses in New England, and houses settle and doors are still on the old hinges, so they can open right up. So I don't really think
these are old houses, so it's hard to tell what's real and what's literally people stretching the truth. I don't know. I think there's a lot of interesting things there. I love the crime aspect.
Clearly,
the EVP recording is good too. This is an interesting story.
Nice.
It really is.
I like it a lot. It's something that's been in folklore forever. And since I was a child, we actually did sing the song. I remember it very well, and you can actually go stay there. And I do recall you saying that if I found a really good place that was somewhere in the U.S., that you would pay for us to stay there for the night.
That is correct. And every single episode, when you want to go to the place we're talking about, I will respond with, "One day, but not today."
But not today. Anyway, so anybody who wants
like Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story, not today. Anyway,
I like that one better. Yeah. But anybody who wants to go see the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast, it is literally open for business. You can go stay there, eat your Cheerios, enjoy sleeping on an old-timey bed in an old rickety house. Thousands of people can't be wrong. You're probably going to find something there. I think you might find something there if you're into that kind of stuff. Clay and I have discussed this before, but I'll just go ahead and say it. While I'm not really open to these kind of events, maybe that's why I don't get to see them very often. I've been to a lot of different hotels and bed and breakfasts where they're supposedly haunted, and guess what? I saw absolutely nothing. This could be just another one of those things, but thousands of people, like literally I can't even mention all the people that have said they've seen stuff, because that's how many people there are. And that to me in itself is pretty remarkable. Usually you'll hear someone calling bullcrap, but you don't really hear a lot of that happening at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast. And it's located at 2nd Street in Fall River, Massachusetts. So give them a call, tell them that Talk About Scary sent you, and you'll get the Talk About Scary, sorry, I'm laughing, the Talk About Scary discount.
How many times do you want to say Talk About Scary in this episode?
Just one more time, the Talk About Scary discount. Ask for it at the Lizzie Borden Bed and Breakfast. They're going to take good care of you. Tell them Clay sent you.
Also, there is no discount, so please don't do that. If you do, tell them Adam sent you. Well, I think that's all the time we have, but thank you for bringing this story to the table. Again, it was really interesting. Sorry if I got fixated on the crime, but I think that's sort of half the haunting is the crime behind this.
It is. It's
house.
Horrible,
so we'd love to hear what you guys think about the show, and please shoot us an email at overnightdistribution@gmail.com with any ideas that you have that we should cover on future episodes. Or if you want to be a guest, we're looking to have more people involved in the show and tell us their scary experiences. So please, email us. We love hearing from you guys. But until next time, creep it real.
Creep it real, y'all. Creep it real.
And when you go to Lizzie Borden House, ask for Adam. He'll give you a discount.
Good job, Clay.
92% off.
92% off.
Free bloody oatmeal.
Free bloody oatmeal, yeah.